Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 2.2 notes. So today we're going to be discussing basically the beginnings of our separation from Britain. So we are going to look at the Declaration of Independence, which is the second part of today. So why did we want to be separated from Britain? Basically, it just had to do with that none of our voices in this country were being heard in England. So they wanted to find that happy medium. Pull this through. On this part, you are just going to be writing the definitions. So while you're writing the definitions, I'm going to just continue speaking. At any point, if you need to pause the video to write, please do so. So anywho, they wanted representation because the colonies were being taxed. This kind of pulls from you guys would have had this in 8th grade. We really didn't talk a lot about this last year in U.S. history because we moved our time frame up. But in 8th grade, you should have learned about no taxation without representation and how none of the colonists had a representative for the colonies within England. And they were only asking for one representative, but they were denied that. And then you add the taxation in, and resentment grew. And then cultural changes. Many of the people in the colonies had been born in the colonies, so they didn't feel a connection to England and the king. So these areas were impacted by that. Okay, so this is an infamous image that was drawn by Ben Franklin, the namesake of our high school. And a lot of it's misinterpreted. People want to use it with no tread on me, but a lot of the items that were used during these times today are used incorrectly. So when we look at this, if you look, you have each section of the snake with the exception of where the head is represented a specific colony. Where the head is just representing a group of colonies. So basically what he's saying here is if they don't join together, their way of life is going to die. Okay? They have to join together to be represented as one. So if they were more concerned about their self-interest of their individual states, it's pretty much today as well. If one state gets too much attention, other states feel like they're being suffocated. So we have to identify as a single country, and it's really especially important because of the sheer size of our country. So this idea isn't really that far removed to how we function as a country today. The difference is that we're just a little fragmented at the moment. Not to the extent of this, or I don't believe we're going anywhere or anything, but it can have some divisions can sometimes happen, as we've seen. All right, so our First Continental Congress, this was basically the meeting of all the delegates in the colonies with the exception of Georgia, and that's because they had the delegates from Georgia were en route, but they had some problems, so they didn't make it in time. So the concerns was the continuing taxation by England and the pressure putting troops. We'll see the Quartering Act come along where they'll put even troops in homes to observe, specifically homes they believe that might be insurrectionists. So they will put them there to try to basically observe them. And so they created some kind of plan of action. So, but before they could actually create the plan, they had to come up with different ideas. Some people didn't think it was bad as it was, or, people were making it worse, or that some people believed that people weren't taking it seriously enough. And finally, they come up with the Declaration of Rights. So it's very similar to the rights of man that had been done previously, and these basic rights for tax-paying citizens in England. They send this in protest to King George III. He dismisses it. Parliament dismisses it, which was a problem on the colonist side of it. So at this point, it's basically too late. So this is going to lead to our Declaration of Independence. You're going to go into an activity after this set of notes, and you are going to analyze sections of the independence and simplify the terminology. So we have our Second Continental Congress, and this will lead to our American Revolution. So this time, all 13 colonies were present. So Georgia didn't have any issues this time. This will become our very first national government, and it will represent what becomes who we are. They will lead us into a war. They will raise an army and a navy. They will borrow money, specifically from France. They will buy the supplies that they need, again, primarily from France. And then they will make treaties in an effort to establish their independence. So this was our government for 5 years. So this starts from the moment they signed the Declaration until they passed the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation will prove to be not effective. So they're going to be proved to be a difficult issue. And then at the time, under the Articles, we only have a single house, which is called unicameral, not two houses like we do today with the House of Representatives and the Senate. So Richard Henry Lee quoted this. He said, "Resolved that these united colonies are and a right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from the allegiance to the British crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved." So basically, this was just some of the bantering that was used for that call of independence when they were making that decision in their debates. So if you would like, this is actually a clip from Hamilton regarding the king who dismisses the colonists when they declare independence. We're not going to watch it in this video just because I want to be able to give you plenty of time on the other, but it's there if you would like to. So what is unique about our system is that it was founded on the idea that people should rule the nation instead of being ruled by the nation. And the idea that every person, at the time, every person was a tax-paying male property owner, is created as an individual and created equal. And they were taking John Locke's ideas of having certain unalienable rights. What does that mean in a nutshell? Basically, that our government functions under the consent of the governed. So the people make those decisions. And we do that through our vote. That's why it's important. Okay, so this is the end of the notes for today. So there are two things I'd like you to achieve. Hopefully you, if you don't have the opportunity to sit down and watch at noon today, watch some clips of the inauguration. It is going to be unique this year, but it is a historical event, regardless of what side of the aisle you fall. It is very historical in the fact that we have our first woman, first African-American woman, first South Asian woman be elected in the vice presidency. Plus, we have an extremely diverse Congress. Not only are we swearing in the president and vice president today, they will also be giving Vice President Kamala Harris will be giving the oath to the two new Georgia senators. So Democrats also will now officially gain control of the Senate as of that oath. So just if you have an opportunity, watch a little bit of it because it is history. Again, it's just the fact that it's history, that it's important because, you know, this is going to affect your path as becoming adults, and you should be aware. So if you have any questions or concerns, please send me an email and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will see you in class tomorrow. Have a great day. Don't forget your Declaration of Independence activity.